Welcome to the Players Ball Podcast for AT Aliens by AT Aliens. I am your host, Alex the Great. I'm joined by my co-host, MB the man to be. How you living, big dog?
I'm doing well, man. How are you?
Yeah, man. I'm pretty good. We got some good news. We've seen some turnarounds for a few of our teams. A lot to talk about today. Um, and I think it's appropriate that the first thing be the Hawks' first thing for the first time ever, actually. The Hawks get the number one pick in the NBA draft. First time ever. I don't know how to feel about it, so I'm going to throw it to you to start with, my man. What you got?
So, just to correct you, it's the first time in history that they've won the draft lottery. They
Okay.
also drafted number one overall in 1975.
Oh,
So there you go.
so
It's been
pre lottery.
pre lottery exactly.
That's a good
Uh,
factoid. Good factoid.
but needless to say, it's been a very very long time. I don't know about you, but when I saw the news just kind of come across my phone on Sunday, I was a little bit in shock, right? Like,
Hmm.
I think I read there was a 3% chance where the Hawks sat to win the lottery. So odds were not in our favor. We've had years where we had better odds and didn't get it. So I really did not expect it. And I saw Dion our boy texted in the group just wow, and I
Yeah.
was like, wow is right. And I don't think I don't think he knew at the time. I knew exactly what he was referring to. That being the news of the Hawks winning the lottery. And I think it's pretty exciting. I think it opens up a lot of opportunities, right? We had a pretty detailed discussion last week about the Hawks and their future. If you haven't checked that one out already, you need to go check out episode 17.
Worth
But
a listen for
yeah,
sure. That was a
it's
great episode.
but specifically, we were talking about the options the Hawks have and what do you do? The general thinking is it's going to be either Trey or DeJounte. Well, now with the number one overall pick, I think it opens up a few more possibilities, whether that be, trading the pick and some players or, sticking at one, getting your guy at number one and then building around, the number one pick, Jalen Johnson, and then whichever guy you keep to run the point.
That's what I was about to ask you. So just having the number one, you were talking about opening up options, and you described a few. Does it open up the option of keeping both of them, or do you think that that situation has run its course?
So I never ruled that option out as a possibility. I think the likelihood is pretty low just because of the money. But our coach has openly talked about how he feels about DeJounte Murray and how he likes him. And, Trey is, one of the fan favorites and viewed as a superstar. So to keep them both, I mean, and run it back, another year, I could see it. I heard a couple comments, between Trey and DeJounte individually just talking about their relationship off the court. And, they seem extremely close, extremely tight. Obviously, that hasn't quite made
Translated into wins.
right, but it still seems like there's, an opportunity there that maybe given some more time. They've only been with Quinn Snyder for what, one full season and then a part of another season. You talked last week again. If you haven't heard it, go listen to it. But you talked a little bit about, Quinn has always had a perennial defensive player to run his scheme, and so we haven't had that piece. And maybe if you plug in one of those guys, the rest of it will come together, right? So
Yeah.
we'll have to wait and see what they decide to do. But I'm excited. I like I said, I think having the number one overall pick opens up a lot of opportunities. Right? If you're not going to get good trade value or what you want out of DJ or Trey, and you want to trade number one, like you're going to get some pretty good return there. You know, you traded all those picks to get DJ, so you kind of lucked into winning back some of that draft capital that you lost. Um, so all in all, I think it's a good situation to be in if you're the Atlanta Hawks.
Yeah, I do too. And I hate to be the guy, but I gotta be the guy. I just man, I wish it would have came, a year earlier or maybe even a year later. Just looking at the draft prospects, man, no one wows me. That I would use a number one overall pick on, right? I'm still on the Zach Edey train. Maybe now we can draft a center and him as a backup, for him to work his way into the lineup. But you obviously don't draft him with the number one overall pick. I looked at some Alex Sarr highlights. He looks cool, right? Um, but there is no consensus number one in this draft. Um, so this will be the first time in a while we could trade back. But trade back for who? Trade back for what? I still don't know what the plan of this organization is, this management group. Um, and that makes me lean towards the negative, the doubtful side that they're going to get this right. Any part of it, whether it's the pick, whether it's to keep Trey and trade Javon Dejounte, whether it's to keep Dejounte and trade Trey, what we're going to get in either one of those returns. None of those things give me pleasant thoughts because of who is making the decision, right? Um, I've heard it said, man, fire everyone. GM, head coach. I don't want to fire Trey. I think I'm he got a bad rep as a coach killer. And I think in Quinn Snyder, we've seen the first opportunity for him to have stepped aside and said, no, uh, I missed all these games. I wasn't impacting the team. I like Quinn Snyder. I was following what he wanted me to do. We were all shooting all these threes because that's what he wanted us to do. And it failed. And it was not my fault. But it does not look like another year of what Quinn Snyder was doing will bear any fruit to me, man. I
I don't
don't
know.
want to be a negative Nancy, but that's kind of where I am with the Hawks right now.
I'm with you, like on the front office side of it, but I'm not ready to fire Quinn. I mean, we have to have some stability somewhere. Like I don't care what organization it is, whether it's a professional sports team, whether it's a business, a club, whatever. If you don't have some stability and leadership, you will not have success. So if
Hmm.
you fire the whole front office, like go ahead. Well, if you fire everybody, including the coach, front office, everything, go ahead and give it another 2 to 3 years before you see this team have, success, because you're not going to see it next year. Like you're not going to have instant impact with these guys having to come in and learn a whole new routine, a whole new system, basically unlearn everything they just learned for the last year. Eileen,
Unless you bring in someone who's been there before. Now, I don't
who
know that he'd take the job, like a Travis Slink, to come in and run the organization. It doesn't seem like that relationship ended amicably.
you better sell the team if you want that to happen.
I mean, I'm not against that either, right?
Yeah.
The management is a direct lineage of ownership, so I don't know, man. I am happy to have a first round pick. It's a cool feeling. I wish I just knew more about these players. I showed you a clip a while back that Gilbert Arenas was talking about the European players and how that has impacted the NBA game. Right? They didn't go to college. NBA players go to college to learn defense. Is what he says, and that the league is changing to accommodate international players. I don't see the league backtracking on any of that, at least not yet. So I am more willing to draft an international player. But that's not something I'm generally a fan of. They are cold players, but if we're drafting from the international pool, I want it to be, a generational talent, right? Like Wemby, like Luca, like Jokic, who was drafted during the Taco Bell commercial. You know what I mean? Giannis. I don't see, from what I've read, and it hasn't actually been super extensive. I've looked at a couple of mock drafts and I've read on the players. I watched Alex Sarr's highlights. Um, there's no one in there that's like that in this draft. Definitely no one worth the Hawks' first ever lottery #1 pick. But we
Yeah.
had to pick somebody, or we traded. I don't think that ends well. So yeah, I'm with pick somebody. Pick a 7-footer. Get Alex Sarr. If I had to pick right now, who would you add to the roster? What would you do with your GM?
So before I answer that question, I want to comment on something because I had a conversation with your boy Rick Jerry Terry. You know who I'm talking about? Mr. B
Rick Jerry Terry?
Chambers. Yeah. Brandon
Oh,
Chambers.
did you really?
Yeah. Just, via the socials, right? Um, and he made a comment how like it's such an Atlanta thing till we finally get the #1 pick and it's like the weakest draft in recent history.
Yeah.
And there is some truth there. I will kind of counter that with they thought it was a pretty weak draft several years ago, and someone that came out of that draft class was Jamal Murray, and we see what he's doing in the playoffs, right? And what he did last year and what he's shown over the last couple of years. So just because we don't think they're going to be like a bona fide superstar doesn't mean that that's not what they're going to turn into.
I agree with that.
So, I understand the feelings. Yes, this on paper, this draft class looks weak, but let's just, before we down everybody, let's just wait and see how things play out, right? But
Do I have to?
we have no choice to
We do
be
not.
real. But yeah, and then talking about the international game, I believe one of the players you're referring to is Alex Sarr. He's a Frenchman.
Yeah.
But I will say, at least this last year, I don't know about years prior, he was playing in the G League Ignite. So he's not. He wouldn't be coming directly from like an international club, which I do think.
Yeah, he plays for Australian club right now.
Well,
in the NBL, the National Australian Club, the NBL, and I do think that team did play like an invitational in a G League, but they are an affiliate of the Australian team.
Okay, I'll have to do some more research on him specifically because I thought he was playing for the G League Ignite specifically last year. But the international the seasons are different, right? Like they just started a year where the NBA is, ending, and I do know some players will play and then go overseas. You see it a lot in the WNBA specifically because it's how women make more money. They go play overseas, so they play year round. That's what happened to Brittany Griner and that whole Russia debacle. But I said all that to say, like, he's playing against some NBA talent. He's also only 19 years old, so he's got tremendous upside and growth potential.
That I didn't realize. I didn't account for it.
Yeah, so he's 7'1". He's a little bit thicker than a Wemby, right? You got to compare him to Wemby and Chet Holmgren, and then coming into the draft, you Klingon from Oh, I forget what university he played at.
Not Auburn. I feel like
N-
they're orange.
no, him and Zach Edey went toe to
Yeah, no,
toe.
I know you're talking about
Uh,
Cleon.
is was it Utah or not Utah? I meant Connecticut. I think it was UConn.
Yeah, UConn. That's what it was.
They went toe to toe in the national championship game. So you got to compare him against some other 7-footers. He's not as big as Zach Edey, but he's not as like alien like as Wimby and Chet and Klingon.
Mm-hmm.
So I do like the fact that he's got a little bit more beef to him. He's 7'1",
Beefy.
and he's got an outside jumper, something that Zach Edey doesn't have, right? So
Mm.
I still really like Zach Edey. I think he would make a great addition to this team, but he's an interior paint player, can dish the rock a lot of ways like Joker. He's going to rebound, going to defend, but he's not going to be a threat, outside shooting. Alex
Right.
Sarr, on the other hand, gives you that other dimension potential, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's got a decent stroke. So I do like him. I think his game's nice. I don't think he's like Wimby status, generational talent, but pair him with DeJounte or Trey, and like that should be a pretty solid addition, in my opinion. So I would be okay. We got to get some size. I mean, shoot, when the heck have we had a 7+ footer?
Dikembe?
Yeah, right. The 90s.
Yeah.
So and kind of playing off of that, a lot of the trade potential options that I see that I'm kind of down with are, getting rid of guys like Clint Capella and Hunter, and still building around. You got Onyeka, who could, if you had a true 7-foot center, could play more power forward. You got DJ and Trey, you got Jalen, you got Bogey. Like, you still have some solid pieces.
Yeah, it's not a complete rebuild.
Yeah, and go out and get a couple veteran guys that can come in and just like, I really, you gave me a lot of crap last week, talking about Aaron Gordon,
LeBron James. Oh, Aaron Gordon. Okay.
but I want a guy like Aaron Gordon, man. You see him, he's just doing all the dirty work, right? Like,
Yeah, I want an Aaron Gordon, to be clear. And my crap giving was not
I
about
know.
Aaron Gordon. It was about your treatment and statements about King James. Right. But yeah, I definitely want somebody, a utility player like Aaron Gordon. Like he can do everything. I don't think that is Brandon Ingram, or maybe it is. Brandon Ingram he's really good. I don't know where he slides in. This is like one of the first years where I have no idea what the team is going to look like next year. All right. There was a tweet. I don't remember who sent it out, but shout out that guy, whoever you were, that asked, who would your five be? Who would you envision the starting five for Atlanta Hawks being come the season opener? Who you got? Or I
Oh
can go
man.
first.
All right, let's hear it.
Okay, so you got Trey Young. He's staying. Um, you got LeBron James. um, because we have LeBron, we don't keep the pick. And Brownie can't start. So I don't know if Kobe could start next to Trey, but he's a defensive guard. So I was thinking Trey, Kobe, LeBron, Jalen, and Onyeka.
Mm,
Yeah,
you're gonna get eat up.
no way.
You got no
That's
big.
that's a
You
four.
all small ball.
Yeah, that is the East. Who's the big in the East besides Embiid?
I don't want to just win the East. brother. I want to win the whole thing.
Getting there with LeBron James, you got a chance to win the whole thing, man.
I still think with Braun we're a playing squad. But I did just to play off of what you're talking about. I did see a crazy person post something like go get LeBron get Bronny number 1 and then LeBron will automatically come to Atlanta and like he's not
not
a
a free
no.
agent.
He's not and Bronny is not a number 1 overall pick. He'll be lucky to go in the first round. They are having the
Combine.
combine and like he's dominating the headlines and
He is. He's looked pretty good out there from what has been said.
Yeah. And he's had a good showing in their scrimmages, all the the measurables, the vertical, the spot up shooting. He's done well. He's probably elevated his draft stock.
Yeah.
But he's still not a number 1. So, if you want to go that route, if you want to take that gamble that if you draft Bronny James, that LeBron is going to follow, then by all means take that gamble, but do it with a mid to late round pick.
Trade he's on the team that I described. He's just not starting 5, right? So we trade the first round to get Bron. Give the Lakers a nice little reset to do whatever they want to do. And then we have another pick in the first round. It's a later. Or maybe we had to give both of those up. We can get Bronny somehow, towards the bottom of the draft. Where I plan to get Zach Edey, we could get Bronny. Maybe we get them both.
I mean, if you trade the first pick, like it's not out of the realm of options to go get Edey and Bronny in the first round, right? And that's why I think so many people are out here saying to trade the first pick because of how many pieces. But and I mean, really at this point, I think I'm almost down for whatever just to see something new because we've seen the same product for the last 2 to 3 years and it's a hot garbage. And that's putting it nicely. So, I mean, I would be down for that. Just don't go stupid at number 1. I did see a funny meme tweet or whatever. It was saying, the Falcons in their front office go out and get Michael Penix, forget how to draft. And the Hawks are sitting here saying, hold my beer. And they're going to go, wreck this first overall pick. So
I guarantee you right now, whoever we pick, we're going to be shamed for it. All right, that's just the Atlanta. Everyone hates Atlanta. We did an episode with that title. No matter what, I bet you that happens. Like, if we're not blatantly ridiculed, it'll be like, oh, well, it's Atlanta. Let's give them a C.
I don't know. I think if we went out and got Alex Sarr, we would get at least a B.
No, it wouldn't be exciting. It wouldn't be with the,
that's what
the juice that the Falcons had given. They'd flunk us just for that. He's damned if you do, damned if you don't.
He's projected the number 1 overall pick in almost every circle. So if we go get the guy, like you gotta give us at least a B.
Time will tell. I'm saying C or lower.
Yeah.
You would think if he's the guy, it'd be an A, but I think a C.
So
because of how people feel about the Hawks.
We're a little over a month away from the draft. I think I saw it's on June 26th or June 27th.
Or June. I know June. I don't know the date.
I think it's June 26th or 27th. So we have some time to speculate and pontificate and try to come up with dream scenarios.
Yep. So. Couple talking heads getting it in on the Hawks.
A
We'll do
few
that for the next couple of weeks.
a few Atlanta sports experts.
Yeah, expert
Yeah.
be the key word there. All right, man. Well, um, time will tell what happens with those Hawks. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm repping. Harley home, always repping. So, well, I'm always home as well. Always home, always repping. But we'll move on from the Hawks to the
Much more
Bravos, man.
successful franchise.
Much more successful. They have 2 World Series to none for either of our other favorite franchises. Um, just a quick word about United. Man, they got to get it together, man. I think maybe we go to a game and reestablish the fan base, reestablish the luck, that winning culture, and we get them back on the right track. Also, the Atlanta Dream have started their season. Um, Caitlin Clark will be coming to town at some point. I looked at the schedule. They do have a home game against the Indiana Fever. I mean, it's like 8 teams, so everyone pays everyone on each other's court. So, man, maybe we can be in attendance for that. That'd be pretty exciting.
So those tickets sold out in under 30 seconds.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Wowzers.
Yeah, so honestly, I don't want to talk about it here, but I would love to do like a discussion about the WNBA, the Dream. I've never been to a game. They play in College Park. First of all, it's easy to sell out in College Park when
It's
the
a smaller
gym
arena.
is about the size of our high school gymnasium.
It's a little bigger than that. This is where the G League team plays. So I heard it's actually a top of the line facility,
Oh
but it's
yeah,
just a lot less seats.
it's supposed to be like state of the art,
Hmm.
spectacular facility, but it's
Easier to
tiny.
sell out for sure.
Yes, it's tiny. But
That's
yeah,
kind of disappointing, man.
well, that doesn't mean we can't get tickets. It just
Yeah.
means you can pay a premium. Um, but yeah, I'd love to have a discussion because there's a lot of interesting things just flying around about the Caitlin Clark effect that it's
Hmm.
kind of having on the league. There's a lot of racial undertones. I think it would be a pretty unique, interesting discussion for another day.
Well, that's too big of a teaser, bro. You got to give the people something.
No, I'm just throwing it out there. There's a lot of interesting comments from players in the league and from fans that uh feel like if Caitlin Clark was in a different shoes, that the
Black.
amount of
I'll say it for you.
there's a bunch of people that believe that she gets unfair recognition and she is viewed as more um, marketable because of her skin tone, which I find,
Mm,
an interesting discussion. But we can have that for
absolutely.
another day. We'll get to the winning franchise, like we said, the Bravos.
Yeah.
I can't get into the United discussion, man. I don't know about going to a game. I don't know if I want to give them any money. I don't want to give them any money. Until Apple TV gets gone. MLS needs to do away with this nonsense. And then two, fire freaking Carlos Bocanegra. He's
Mm.
he is the common denominator of all this nonsense, and I do hear that the fans are starting to hit him with their pocketbooks and not showing up to games when historically we are one of the largest attended, you know, soccer clubs in the world. So
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
leave it
No, I,
there. They're
I
not
know that
playing.
fact as well.
They're not playing well enough to deserve my dollars.
I just know that me being in the building, I feel like they would know and turn things around. I just want to give them a little hope for the future. So, and with the record that they have, the tickets are not expensive.
Well, that might I can do.
We can get in there for the dumb low. Yeah,
Yeah.
we can club it up, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll move off of those soccer players. And reluctantly, I will let the Caitlin Clark bone go for this week. We will definitely talk about that next week. So circle back with us because I really want to hear that take. And I think her impact on the game cannot be overstated. Uh, whatever the reason is, we'll get into that. But what she's done for women's basketball is huge.
Yeah.
But the Atlanta Braves. So last time we talked about the Braves, they had actually won 2 games back to back, but that was after dropping 3 to the Dodgers. The Dodgers took the first series with the Braves. We play them again in mid-September, so that's right before the playoffs. So obviously we want to get some get back on them when they come to our house. And I'm glad that's later in the season. We can get all this slump, get some slump busting going. But they've had a good week since then. We took 2 or 3 against the Mets because tonight is over. And then before the Mets, we took 2 or 3 against the.
Took 2 of 2 against Boston. Then went up to New York and took 2 of 3 against the Mets. Or went up to New York.
And 2 or 3 against the Cubs now. We lost to the Cubs tonight. Yeah.
We just finished a series with the Cubs and went 2 and 3. You know, I was pretty disappointed on that third game up in New York. We really should have won that one. But AJ Minter in the 9th gave up a 2-run home run to let the Mets walk it off. So all in all, like you said, pretty good 6-7 days for the Bravos. I'm still not, you kind of teased when we had discussed what we were going to discuss tonight and said, the Braves are back. I'm not really with there yet on that take that the Braves are back. We still have a ways to go. You're still basically relying largely on Marcell Ozuna to get the bats going. Our pitching staff has done a very good job.
Starting pitching has been phenomenal.
Charlie was not on his game tonight, and the game we dropped in New York was Bryce Elder, who is kind of gonna be a up and down starter for you as long as he's here. But Ronaldo Lopez, absolutely spectacular. Chris Sale, also been absolutely spectacular. And your boy Max Fried is Max Fried once again. So those 3 guys have been holding it down, giving you solid outings night in and night out. So that's good to see. We just got to get some bats going, man. Ronnie didn't play tonight. He was a manager's decision because, man, he's had a rough stint.
Scratch.
So up in New York, that game we dropped, the last 2 times he was on base, he got picked off. And then the first time he was on base against the Cubs this week, he got picked off. So on 3 consecutive trips to first base, spanning, a 24-hour period, he got picked off at first base. And, it just has me wondering, like, what is up with Ronnie? And
his speed, that's not something we're accustomed to seeing.
It's just, and it's not that he's slow, because it's not him stealing, right? It's a pickoff move. It's him getting caught off guard, and just his body language that I see tells me like he's just mentally struggling. And the Ronnie that plays and has fun and is loose and is out there enjoying life is the Ronnie that is the MVP, right? He's out there just kind of grinding through this thing, struggling, and it's interesting to just kind of see it from the sidelines. And I hope he can get it together. I hope, maybe a day off, maybe some time with the family. I don't know what. But he's got to get that mojo back.
I don't think I'm not concerned about him. Um, I'm not concerned really about the hitting, right? I for call it what it is. Blind optimism. I don't think it's blind just because I know that they're capable of it. They've done it before, but the bats, I'm not so concerned about. I saw that Matt Olson finally got schneid. It'll happen for all of them, right? That at one point or another in this season, when we need them, those bats are gonna wake up. The pitching, the starting pitching, has been great, right? Without the exception of Bryce Elder, finding his way. Um, the relief pitching, right? So you already talked about AJ Minter giving up the walk off. You had the no going a couple nights before that, and Raciel Iglesias gave up the hit. Our relief pitching, and I don't know why he has such a long leash. Like, are there just no closers out there? I saw that Craig Kimbrell, our former Brave, he's having some struggles right now, but there has to be another closer that we can bring in. This guy has not been good for the last couple years. So my fears are still lying upon relief pitching. I just don't think they get it done. I'm really encouraged that the starters are they almost all of them have been going 7 innings, except for Lopez, right? But he's a former reliever, so to expect him to rev up to that and do a full season may not be realistic. But Chris Sale, Max Fried, not so much Charlie either. Chris Sale and Max Fried have been putting out 7 inning games, which I think is really encouraging coming off of the fives and the 5.5s that they were doing a season ago.
Yeah, I'm with you on the relief pitching. Honestly, they've done better of late than they did, at earlier times this season. Aaron Bummer has had a couple decent outings. Dylan Lee's been pretty good. Um, Kerr, who made an appearance tonight in long relief, held it down pretty well. He did well earlier in this series. Uh, I'm not as concerned, to be honest, with Rysel as you are. The thing about him that is a little bit concerning to me is the fact that, and this is the reason why AJ Minter was closing that night in New York, is they're really trying to load manage him and not give
Mm-hmm.
him too many nights in a row closing. And I get that, right? Like, you want to keep your arms healthy. You don't want to, but a closer, like, traditionally, it's every opportunity that you have to close a
Yeah, to
game, you're
close, you
putting your
close.
right. So that is a little bit odd to me and a little bit concerning because AJ Minter, I mean, the times that he's come in to close a game, it's been a lot like the Luke Jackson experience where you're sweating the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, he gets through them. Like, he gets some dubs, he gets some saves, but then there's some nights where you're like, oh no, not this again.
Lukey Dookie have him bases loaded before he gets his last out, man.
Yeah, he would put you in some jams and then make it exciting there at the end.
I don't need that kind of excitement in baseball.
No, I don't need that for my
Me Braves
blood.
home runs and strikeouts. That's all I need.
Yeah, which Chris Sale has been our strikeout king. Missing Spencer Strider still hurts a lot, right?
Oh my
And
gosh, like where would we be if we had Spencer Strider and Chris Sale was performing like this,
yeah,
right?
I
And Max
know.
Fried is coming back to form. It's just crazy. We wouldn't have to deal with this Bryce Elder stuff.
Yeah, I mean it would be great. Like 1 through 4, you would be absolutely lights out, and like you're gonna get solid outings from Charlie. I mean, we've gotten several, but then you're gonna get nights like tonight where he's 40 years old and he looks 40 years old.
He still had 4 strikeouts in his 3 innings of work, but he did get teed up though. Goodness
He had
gracious.
75 pitches through 3 innings, man. That's not a good
Not
look.
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is not.
So,
And the bats were terrible today too.
I think we got 4 hits on the night, maybe more. But
Yeah, it's more. Yeah, so a little bit more than anticipated as far as the hits were concerned, but um, still largely optimistic about the season. We'll see what continues to happen with the bats. I anticipate them coming on, uh, and not that much time. So
yeah,
go
and
Braves, chop on.
we got a couple injuries, right? We still haven't really seen Sean Murphy, and we've been missing Austin Riley the last couple outings. With he had some like right side inflammation. They MRI'd it; it's just inflamed. So he's day to day. So we get those guys back, and we get them, to turn on their bats, and things will turn around. Like you said, we'll get there. I just hope our pitching is still holding it together when we get there, because last night was the first time that we've scored more than 6 runs in over 14 games, which for us is a huge
Yeah, that's
huge
wild.
stretch. Yeah, so but with that, we'll go on to the other birds. We talked about the Hawks. We got a little Braves action in, and let's wrap it up with some Falcons.
Falcons rise up. Yeah, man. So there was some interesting comments. This is the first time that the veteran players have been back at Flowery Branch, and they did some press, and some things were said, and everything that I heard that I'm going to speak on was very encouraging. I'll start with Rod's comment on Kirk, him saying that I don't remember what the question was. I don't even know that they put it in the article, but it was along the line. His response was along the lines of, Kirk is here to win a Super Bowl, right? Whatever Michael picks up is going to be because he's being active and picking it up, but that's not his primary job. He's here to win a Super Bowl. Um, let's start with that, right? That realization, the words of that coming out for me was very encouraging. I feel like both of us are in a very good place with the Falcons and what they've done this offseason. Um, but it just keeps, for me, they just keep winning me more and more to the side of their decisions. That comment definitely helped with that.
Yeah, and some of the other comments, and even that comment specifically, I think it's really interesting. Again, if you go back and listen to our discussion last week, we discussed Kirk and that transition and the relationship between Michael and him and what that would look like. And we kind of got a glimpse of that as they spoke this week. We got a glimpse of what kind of teammate Kirk Cousin is, what kind of leader he is. Him taking some dogs down to Tampa to meet with Chucky and look at film and just bond. Like, those are the types of things we were discussing, ad nauseum last week.
Hmm.
And it's good that, our general impression is starting to show to be true, right? Like, Kurt's going to be a professional. He's going to be a good teammate. He's going to be a good locker room guy. Guys like him. He's starting to build those relationships, and that includes Michael Penix. And Kurt spoke on his experience in college when he went to Michigan State,
Yeah.
and Nick Foles was there, and he just kind of was like, one of us is going to be playing and the other one's not. And what it taught him was you got to go out there and grind. You got to work. And so I envision that relationship specifically, and playing into Raheem's comments. He's going to go out there and work, and he's going to lead by example. And Michael, if he wants to play, if he wants to grow, if he wants to maturate into a future, starting quarterback, he's gonna see firsthand what it takes, and he's either gonna rise to the occasion or he's not. And I think he'll probably rise to the occasion. Right? He's gonna go out. He's
Yeah.
gonna work hard. They're gonna have a good relationship. He's gonna learn how to process from the best processor in the league, and it's gonna
Early
be exciting.
indication says that that's going to go well for him. He's already spoken to Kurt's leadership skills. One of the particular comments that I remember Kurt saying was like he's always had to compete. And you mentioned Michigan State, but then he went from there to Washington, where he didn't even get the starting job when he was competing. So he's been on both sides of it, and come out clean as a whistle, right? I told you I know him from Netflix, man. Everything that I thought I knew, it seems to be materializing before our eyes. He was talking about the quarterback room. They asked, "Would you have come to Atlanta if you knew that they're going to draft quarterbacks?" I don't deal in hypotheticals. That could be the longest conversation in the world. Basically, I'm paraphrasing, but from there, he just started to talk about the quarterback room and how that's a team. It's like a hive mind of sorts, right? So they're gonna sponge off each other. They're gonna learn from each other, and it seems like from what Michael Penix said about watching Kirk go about the way that he does his thing, I'm super encouraged. Then we talked about the trip down south where he took Kyle Pitts, Darnell Mooney,
Drake London.
and Drake London, and Kyle Pitts was like, "Yeah, we watched a lot of film." But Drake London was, I mean, and that's encouraging as well, right? That you had to be a steward of the game to perfect it. But Drake London was like, yeah, man, seeing him in action is it's an eye opening experience. There was a comment made on the radio this morning about how you almost had to get sick of hearing about how great Kyle Pitts and Drake London's catch radius is, because neither Dez nor Marcus Mariota could get the ball straight to them. They always had to do these fantastical moves and leaps of acrobatics. And they shouldn't have to do that anymore. Obviously, there's going to be the potential for that still with some jump balls. As Kirk gets more comfortable, he's going to put the ball out there at risk a little more because he trusts his guys. But even that, right, is encouraging. I'm really looking forward to this Falcons season, man. My season tickets are bought and paid for. Uh, and I'm excited to get in there, man. We're gonna get in there too. Get you in there, and we're gonna enjoy some Falcons victories, man.
Yeah, I haven't caught a live game in the bins since the very first preseason game,
Yeah.
and needless to say, it's been a long time. So I need to get in there. I need to see them live and in color, and it'll be a good time. But I'm with you. I'm excited. Everything I keep seeing just gets me more pumped. Hopefully, it's not fool's gold like it has
He
been in
is our
years past.
backup, but did you watch Penix throw?
So I saw some hand picked videos that showed a lot of drops, and it was one of those situations, and people have talked about it for years, and it was something that they even talked about with Michael Vick. He's a left-handed, I'm a lefty, so I empathize with him, but that ball just rotates different, and
Mm.
if it's coming at you with velocity and you're not prepared for it, supposedly professionals struggle with it. I don't know what the deal is, but that's what they say. It just comes out a little different from a lefty. And the clips that I saw were a couple drop balls.
So I saw those drops. The caption I saw was like, "These guys forgot how to catch with the quarterback play over the last couple of years." But the throws look great. They're on the money,
On the flip side,
mechanically sound. If I'm judging mechanics, which I have no capacity to do, but you look good.
did you see the clips of Kurt throwing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so there was one in particular that stood out to me, and it was a ball to Drake London, in which Drake is in the air, fully stretched out, two hands making a snag, and just highlighting that catch radius comment.
Yeah.
But
Now Drake is a dog.
he didn't forget how to catch that one.
He did not. Bijan Robinson had a comment during the pressers. He said that he thought Art was trying to protect him as far as his utility. I am a believer that we did not use Bijan as much as we should have last year. And Bijan seemed to shine a little light on that, saying that he felt Art didn't want to Derrick Henry him the first year. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I don't know. Good for Bijan to speak up about his feelings, and if Art was trying to protect him, so to speak, then that's admirable. But it's a game you play to win. These are
Hmm.
professionals; they're getting paid a ton of money. You used a lot of draft capital on some of these guys, so take advantage of what they bring to the table. You don't sit your best weapons on the shelf. Like, they do you no good, not on the field.
Yeah, 100%. Did you see the schedule?
I did, and I'm glad you brought it up, because as soon as you brought up Artie, I was like,
Hmm.
this is perfect. So we open the season. I believe it's Monday night or Sunday night. It's a primetime game, I believe.
It's 1 o'clock.
Oh, it's
That
week
one is.
2. Well, either way, we open the
Yeah,
season.
week 2 versus the Eagles, prime time.
Open the season against the Steelers in the bins. What do you think the response by Falcons fans will be towards the offensive coordinator?
I don't know what kind of reception he's gonna get. I'm sure they will call out to him. He had, was it 4 years?
Oh, I think it was just 2. It was just the
He coached Matt Ryan
1 year of Matt Ryan, Mariota, then so he had 3 seasons.
3 seasons. I think it was what, 7 wins each season. I don't want to say frosty. Like we move on pretty quickly in the city. But I don't, is he gonna get a standing ovation? Of
No.
course not. Not even close.
But will he get booze?
Nah. Well, I don't know. The last couple of times that the our brethren have surprised me, it was booing the home team, which was just wild to experience. I was like, what is happening right now? Maybe they surprised me and they boo Art, but I figure we have a little class. It's first game of the season against a beatable opponent. Yeah, we need that first one because it's murderer's row after that.
Yeah, the first
Eagles,
3.
Chiefs, yeah, Steelers, Eagles, Chiefs. Then we got the Saints at home and the Bucks at home, and those are usually end of the season games. We got 3 division games back to back.
But history tells you that if you lose the first 2 games of the year, your odds of making the playoffs are like drastically reduced. So, and I'm not saying that every time you lose the first 2 games of the year, you're guaranteed not to make the playoffs. But I do think if you win the first 2, your odds are like 75, 80%. And if you lose the first 2, your odds are like 30%. So those first 2 games are pretty important historically speaking.
Hmm.
And the Eagles that's going to be a battle. I mean, that's going to be a tough one. And then you have the Chiefs the next week, which, defending back-to-back Super Bowl champions.
I had it as an L when we went through our our record, and it's stranger things have happened, right? But at least we're at home. It'll be a sellout crowd for sure.
A
With
lot of,
Patty Mahomes coming into the bins, and yeah, Kansas City travels well. I'm sure there'll be a lot of Chiefs in there.
I'm sure there will
Um,
be a lot of women in 87 jerseys out there.
well, obviously Taylor will be there as well. Maybe she'll invite me up to the box to sit with her and Brittany. Is her name Brittany
Mahomes?
Mahomes?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe I get up there to sit with the ladies. Caitlin Clark's sisters. Who were if they were black. I don't know. Nice. I'm glad they released the schedule. There was just a quick sidebar before we start to wrap it up. There was talks. Now, me and the wife, we want to invite the wedding party out to Viva Las Vegas. My hope was that the Raiders game would be a fall game because Vegas is best when it's when you can get to the pools. I think it's just I love Vegas, but with it being in December, mm, we're still probably gonna do something and probably do it in Vegas, but it won't include a Falcons game most likely.
Go see the Knights. I actually don't know when their season starts, but
Yeah, never having been to an NHL game, that would be exciting.
oh man, they're a blast. They're an
Hmm.
absolute blast. Which we need a team here, I haven't heard any real, news other than Utah is going to be the new home of what's currently the Arizona Coyotes.
Hmm.
But we weren't necessarily really looked at as a possibility for getting
Arizona's
a.
losing their franchise.
Yeah, they're relocating. So we were never really looked at as like a serious contender for a relocation. It's more so
Mm,
a new franchise. But anyways, um, hockey game would be a blast to go to if you've never been to one. And
yeah.
I imagine Vegas would put on a pretty good show.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, more to come on that, man. Not on the pod. I can't invite everybody, but
I mean,
details will be in your email.
if y'all just happen to be there, I can't stop you.
We'll do it if we get one or two of our subscribers that are not already in the friend group to, come on out, man. We'll do a live pod out in Vegas on the strip.
Don't know how good it will
Uh,
be, but we'll do it.
yeah, man. We'll do it in
Yeah,
front of the Sphere. Maybe they'll
yeah,
put our logo up on the side of it.
yeah. But yeah, just to wrap this bad boy up, you brought up our current, you know, running back extraordinaire, Bijan Robinson, and
Hmm. Hmm.
I was looking at the socials today. I think I was scrolling while taking care of some business, if you know what I mean. Uh,
Yeah, I do.
and I
Get them
came
to the Super Bowl.
uh I came across a video and it was the most underrated NFL quarterbacks in history. And some of the names, Jonathan Stewart was one. I can't remember
Yeah,
what some of
Jonathan
the
Stewart was a dog.
can't remember all of them, but it had me thinking about this question, and that's who is the top running back in Falcons franchise history? I think we have a great one now, but
Mhm.
obviously he hasn't been long enough to claim GOAT status. So who's your Falcons running back?
Um, in history, it's Warwick Dunn.
Hmm.
Um, right, he's in the Ring of Honor. I was a Warwick Dunn fan even when he was a Buck. Watched him out there with Mike Allstock. So for him to come in here with Sir T.J. Duckett and watch him for those years, I still have his poster up on my wall. They gave that out a couple years ago. So I would say Warwick Dunn is our goat. Uh, but underrated is not. I wouldn't say those are one and the same for the Falcons. I would say most underrated would probably be Burner Turner, man, because he has some great years. Honorable mention to Devontae Freeman, but I think most underrated would probably be Michael Turner. We only got him because he was underrated. He was also behind LT, but yeah, that's where I land. What about you? What say ye?
I really like your list. I think I have to agree with you with the goat status being work done, and you know, on the field what he was able to do, but also what he's done off the field. Right, winning a Walter
Hmm.
Payton award. His work with the Habitat for Humanity, his just genuine being a good dude. Right.
Yeah.
And caring for others, like I have to put him up there. And then for me, I really like, you know, Michael Turner's contribution is really underrated. Like he really was
Yeah.
a vital piece in the franchise turning around after Michael Vick and the years, the subsequent years after when we brought in Matt Ryan, having a guy like Michael Turner really helped stabilize this franchise, right? Really took some of the pressure off of Matty Ice and let him come into this league and excel, right?
Hmm.
But one guy, and like, it's hard because when you look at what he did for a career, it's not nearly as impressive. But when you look at it like under a microscope, it's hard not to have an honorable mention in Jamal Anderson, the Dirty Bird himself, right?
Mm.
He single handedly led us to a Super Bowl. I say single handedly. He was a
We rode
major,
in on his back.
major contributing factor to us making that 1998 Super Bowl. It's a whole squad, but you know, he toted a lot of that load, and he really excited the city. And unfortunately, the next year, right, he held out, got more money, tore his ACL, and back then that was pretty much a career death sentence.
Mm.
So overall, career wise, um, he doesn't quite have the output, but I can't I can't in good conscience not mention him and what he did during his prime.
Yeah, shame on me for forgetting him. Like, he would have been the honorable mention before Devontae Freeman for sure. He is the Dirty Bird.
Yeah.
Big respect to Jamal Anderson,
Yeah.
the running back, because the defensive end or whoever he was boo boo.
Hot garbage.
Hmm.
Yeah. And unfortunately, you know, Jamal's battled with some demons, and he's struggled in his life after football. But
He's doing pretty good now. Or at least it appears to be. And one of the final games of the season last year, he was out there. He played in the game with the kids and the mascots, and he looked like he was in great shape. He hit the Dirty Bird.
yeah.
He was smiling. He looked happy, right? I know he had, a some run-ins at a quick trip a while back that seemed
Uh,
wild, but um, from afar, from the
yeah.
stands, it looked like he had made it past that. So I'm
Yeah.
happy for that guy.
Yeah, he had a little bit of a problem with the sauce, and
Mm.
you know, it's not
Many do.
uncommon. Yeah, many do. It's not uncommon, but to see him get his life together, that's it's all good. You know, I will forever dirty bird because of that guy. You know, gotta hit it. But
It's got to have a head too. Like,
yeah, that 1998 season was an absolutely electric season for the Falcons.
yeah,
So
yeah, should have won it all. Many say if it wasn't for ladies of the night, we would have won that Super Bowl. But
what was that guy's name? Eugene Robinson.
Eugene Robinson, yeah,
Forever
yeah,
remember old Eugene Robinson. I loved some of that team, right? Like big play Ray Buchanan. You got Jesse the
big
Hammer
play, Ray.
Tuggle. You got Terrence Mathis. Oh man.
Even on the in the trenches, um, they're still around, like with the organization. Defensive tackle, real simple name. Oh man, I can't believe it. On the other side was Bob Whitfield on the offensive
Mm.
side, but on the defensive side, he like trains up defensive tackles to this day.
You thinking of
Oh my
Chuck Smith?
gosh, Chuck Smith, is he a
Yeah.
defensive end?
Yeah,
But
defensive
yeah,
end.
Chuck Smith was I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a squad. Honestly, that team, really elevated me into football.
Mm,
Professional football. Before that, I didn't really watch um NFL, right? I was like primarily a college football fan, and like even then I was in my adolescence of, college football fandom. So I grew up on baseball. I didn't
hmm
I didn't get into football until, later in elementary school.
Yeah, likewise. Except for instead of football or instead of baseball, it was basketball for me.
So,
Yep.
but anyways, with that, we'll just we'll call it a night. We appreciate everyone listening, coming back. I think we're up to 23 subscribers. So let's hit that 25. Come on, we can do it. It's just two
We can
more.
do it.
We've been getting 1 to 2 a week over the last 2 weeks. So let's just keep up that trend and get us to 25. If you
Yeah,
like what
rise up, chop on, and stay true to the A. I don't know. Is that the Hawks currently?
I don't know, true to
True. Who
Atlanta.
knows? True to Atlanta was the
Now,
slogan. Yeah. But what are you doing? Like, subscribe, comment. We
yeah,
love
leave
you.
leave us some comments. That's the biggest thing we're lacking, right? Some engagement, man. Tell us how you feel about what we're talking about. Tell us how you feel about our picks for the running backs. Who you got? Who you taking number one? How do you feel
hmm
about where Ronnie's at? Right? Just we want to hear from you. So
Use those time codes.
yeah.
Watch the whole thing too. So, all right, man. Well, we'll see y'all on the other side.
Bitcoin, Bitcoin,
Players
Bitcoin.
ball out.
Kendrick
Beyonce,
Lamar.
Rihanna, Kendrick Lamar, Drake, Taylor Swift. Rise up.
Peace.